I'm excited that I get to kick off our new series starting today called #ForTheWin. Now, if you don't know, how many of you have been enjoying the Olympics? You know, thanks, Anthony. We are an Olympic household. We love them. Oh my goodness, I used to have a VHS on my VCR that I had Mary Lou written, and I would watch her over and over and over and over and over when I was a teenager. Dwayne actually loved the Olympics so much when he was a teenager, he and his friends made up Olympic board games, and they were like the first fantasy Olympic team. They would have like fantasy game teams of who's gonna win and all this. I mean, so he was a little before his time, but he didn't take that opportunity to market that, or maybe we would have, have some fantasy Olympic team. I don't know. It could have been a thing. But if you know it or not, this #ForTheWin is a thing. So I found some pictures today to kind of show you kind of what we're talking about for the win here. And my first one here is Crazy Hair Day. You remember that at school? Or having to help your kids. This is Crazy Hair Day for the win. Can you say for the win? For the win. Pretty awesome. That's her hair. Yeah. Then the next one we have Nemo for the win. Yes. Nemo is jumping out of there, and it is for the win. The next one is a sonogram for the win. Now look closely. Up in the right-hand corner, it looks like she's not only having a baby, she's having a kitten. Wow. Sonogram for the win. That is pretty crazy. The next one, we have a trust fall for the win. Don't worry, we won't be doing any trust falls here today. But yes, that is definitely for the win. Next, we have a photo bomber for the win. Isn't that great? Right there, smiling. Next, we have the cutest puppy for the win. Oh, because aren't puppies, they're always for the win. Oh my God, Kelsey, please don't look. Where's my daughter? Oh, yes, Kelsey has an addiction to puppies. I tell her it's her crack house. She'll FaceTime me at the pound, and I'm like, get out of the crack house! Get out of the crack house! Yes, so Kelsey, don't look. Yes. And the next one, this is amazing. There's a lot of these on the internet, and this is a dad for the win. Dad for the win. And we thought moms had those great reflexes, where you do the mom thing. Yes, this was a big win for the dad here. That is awesome. So I have a question. Isn't that amazing? I have a question for you today. You see, I've got my running shoes on. I took the opportunity to match our theme, so I didn't have to wear my dressy shoes today. I'm wearing my tennis shoes, so I can't trip or break anything. I have no excuse. If you don't know in my stories, I was wearing wedges one day while leading a VBS, and yes, broke my foot while stepping off the steps in high heels. So today we're all good, so I'm not going to break anything. I've got my tennis shoes on. But are you winning today? Oh, man. I feel it. I can feel it. I mean, we've been watching that. Simone Biles and then Simone Manuel. Did you see her win the first gold for an African-American woman ever in swimming? Dwayne and I were like, go girl, go girl, go girl. We were like jumping on the bed, and it was like crazy, and she touched it in her face. I mean, it was just amazing. We just love. But we need some excitement in this life, because you know what? There is victory in your veins. Bridge, you are winners. You are overcomers, and we need to start celebrating and living a little bit more for the win. Okay? We're going to look at two scriptures today. First, in 1 Corinthians 9, and then you can get ready, of course. You probably know it's coming, Hebrews 12. But first, we're going to look in 1 Corinthians 9 says, starting in verse 24, Do you not know that in a race, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Run and run hard. The Living says, run to win. Run to win. Verse 25, everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. So here the Apostle Paul is talking about something that this Roman culture knew well. Dwayne and I just stood in Ephesus, and we've been in Rome, where you can see the ancient gymnasiums. Wouldn't you have loved to see that? What were they like lifting? And, I don't know. I would have loved to have seen that. I'm sure they had some kind of those dumbbell things that they swing, I don't know, but I'm sure it was really interesting, the ancient treadmills, but they trained. It was really important to him. So Paul's using this metaphor because he knows it's going to get people's attention, and he knows that they understand this thing about winning and the games and the Olympics, and this is this thing that they have in them to run for the prize. And here he's using this as a metaphor, but don't you love that it says they do it for a crown. They do it for a gold medal. But we do it for a prize that's eternal, an eternal crown. So we're going to run to win. Today we're going to look at 3 questions to answer this. 3 questions to answer. How are we going to run? Number 1, first question is, what is a real win? What is a real win? What's a real win? I can guarantee you that there are some people who have won. I was a football mom for 11 years. Do you know how many sweaty gym clothes I have washed? In my car, when the bag goes in the car, you're like you can't breathe, But I can guarantee you how many games and teams I have witnessed that might have won the game, but their attitude was not winning. So today we're going to talk about what is a real win. If we're running for something that's eternal, then we're going to see things differently. We're going to be able to determine what is a real win. A real win. I love this quote by Thomas Merton. It says, people may spend their whole lives climbing that ladder of success, only to find once they reach the top that the ladder is leaning on the wrong wall. This is not a win for you. Maybe you've been striving and climbing that ladder of success and working, and then when you get to the top, you realize, I have no family. I have no friends. Is this really what I was called to do? It's leaning on what I thought was a win all this time is not a real win. Why do we love the Jamaican bobsled team? They had no chance to win. It wasn't winning a gold medal was not a win for them. Overcoming the obstacles and competing in the games was a win. It was a real win. The inspiration, the admiration of overcoming that adversity, that was a real win. And many years ago when we were on staff at the Abbey in Azle, there was a precious, precious man named Gene, and he had Parkinson's. But Parkinson's did not have him. And every morning during worship, there were people running, there were people, they were jumping, they were just worshiping, but Gene couldn't run. He couldn't move much, but you know what he did? Do you know what his win was? He was shaken. He would snap his finger like that. Dwayne called him Gene, the dancing machine. And his win did not look like other people's wins, but when he would come to church, just coming to church was a win. That was a huge win. But then when he would make the effort to raise his hand and snap his fingers. That was a real win. What are real wins? Let's look at just a few of these things. We win when God gets the glory by his grace. We win when God gets the glory by his grace. And that grace is that favor, that divine power that's working within us. Do you remember when Lazarus died? It did not look like they were winning. No one was tweeting for the win on the day Lazarus died. But what did Jesus say? Guys, don't worry. This is for his glory. You see what's going on in the natural, but I see what's going on in the supernatural. And I have a win planned that you don't know about. It's for his glory. This isn't on our slide, but I just want you to write down and look at Ephesians 3:20 and 21. This is one of our theme scriptures here at the Bridge. This is Pastor Dwayne's theme verse for his life, and many of you have heard us talk about it so many times. And I'm just going to read it for you because we love it so much. It says, verse 20, now to him who is able, say he's able, to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine according to his power that is at work within us. That's his grace. To him be glory. Say he gets the glory. In the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations. A win is when something is for his glory by his grace, and it not only changes you, but it touches generations. Don't you love that? I mean, we forget that. This is those words here. This is the Hooper scripture. This is beyond you. It's saying that God is able to do something. He can take you. He can take your jar of clay, and because of his power that's within you, that's the victory that's in your veins. Can you feel it? He is able to do exceedingly, abundantly, and above all you can dare to ask, think, or imagine. But why? That's the win. What does it say? For the church in Christ Jesus, for his glory, for all generations. There's someone coming behind you. A real win is when God gets the glory by his grace. The second thing is, we win when we grow and mature. Are you growing? Are you maturing? Don't you love that cheddar, I think it's Cheez-Ix commercial, where they're telling the maturity of the cheese, and the crackers are like making fun of everybody and telling cheesy jokes, and they're like, nope, you're not ready. You're not matured yet. I love that. It's so funny. So many of you guys don't see commercials anymore. Millennials, you don't know what I'm talking about because they never watch commercials, which could be a great thing. So I'm not downing you. I love this week in our O2 Leaders Day, Pastor Patty Bateman was talking about how failure is inevitable. Aren't you blessed? Failure is inevitable when you're trying. How many times have those Olympians failed, fallen? But are you learning? I saw something, I think it was on Skylar's Facebook the other day, that there was a father and a mother that every day at the dinner table, they asked their kids, Bobby, what'd you fail at today? You don't hear that very often. What'd you fail at today? Because that was a win, because that meant they tried something. They got up off the couch. They stopped playing video games long enough to try. Yeah, I tried riding my bike and I tried to jump and then I fell, but hey, failure is inevitable, but it's also necessary. Because you're not going to grow and mature if you don't fail. Failure is not fatal. We win when we grow. We win when we mature. We win when we learn something. Are you a winner? Yes, because we are growing and maturing. Yes. And then we win when we make others win. This is so, so, so important. We win when we make others win. Generations beyond us. Now today, Sunday, the women's marathon will be running in the Olympics today, the women's marathon. Did you know that in 1967, it was not believed that a woman could run a marathon? They thought it was kind of like breaking the sound barrier. She might explode. You know, her parts are different, and, you know, and so there's a woman named Catherine Switzer, and if you were at the ladies' conference, you remember this amazing story. Catherine Switzer, she really didn't even know what she was doing because her coach knew behind the scenes what he was doing, but he's like, Catherine, your time's fast enough. Why don't you run the Boston Marathon? So when she didn't put Catherine because she always went by another name that looked like it could be a guy's name, and so they wrote that in the entryway. Then starts running the race, and the co-director of the Boston Marathon comes out, grabs at her bib, and pushes her, and pushes her, or tries to push her out of the race. He said, "You're not going to make a mockery of my race." He thought it was his race. "You're not going to make a mockery." And so her boyfriend jumps, who was also was going to go for the Olympics. He jumps in and he decks the guy and pushes him back. And her coach is like, "Run like crazy! Run like crazy! Run, run, run!" And so she's running. Now, we talked about that. Pastor Patty told us that story at the women's conference, but here's something you may not know. It took until 1972, so years later, before the Boston Marathon would officially accept women into the race. And then they had to qualify at the man's time. That's okay. The girls were like, "We don't care. We can do it." That first time, Catherine Switzer's dream of she's going to win the Boston Marathon. But you know that day in 1972, when women were then allowed, she had blazed a trail. She had gone where no woman had gone before, but on that day, Catherine did not win. She came in third. She didn't win. But did she win? She had a real win because her win helped someone else win. Then a few years later, she had her win. It was the New York Marathon. Now, this is what's amazing. Coming up in 2017, it will be the 50th anniversary of her famous run, and she is planning to go rerun it at 70 years old. You're not too old. We win. A real win is when it's beyond you. That's a Hooper win. When it's not just your win, it's someone else's win. You don't win arguments with your logical points, because we're in a relationship here. You win an argument when you win someone's heart, because you can say harsh words and clever things, and it's so logical, and yes, you won. You win. But have you won in your relationship? And we have to remember that when we're winning other people to Jesus. If you go and look there in 1 Corinthians 9, just a few verses before the one we just read, I think it's verse 21, Paul talks about how to the Greek, I become a Greek. To the weak, I become a weak one to win them. Whatever I have to do, I cross that bridge. I find a way to relate. I find something to celebrate about you because I want to win your heart. And then he says, for the sake of the gospel. So your life, you're running your race as an encouragement for someone else to win. We win when we help someone else to win. So my next question is, what is my win? What is my win? 1 Corinthians 9:26 says, "Therefore I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air." Some translations says, "I'm not shadow boxing." I'm not a very good boxer, but got my tennis shoes on. I think I can do anything today. I might do a cartwheel in a minute. Lord help us. But Paul's saying, I don't run aimlessly. I have purpose. And all of us have a unique win. Your win's not my win. Can you imagine for a minute, this might or might not have happened in our family. Your grass is very tall. It needs mowing. It has not been mowed for a long time. So you send a child out to mow the grass. Can I get a witness? Yeah. They come back. A few hours later, you go out to inspect. The grass has not been mowed. You look up, but the windows are very clean. What? The mission, mow the grass. But can you imagine your child says, "But Mom, I worked so hard. Look, I'm sweating, and I washed all these windows, and look how clean they are." Fantastic. But the yard needs mowing. How many of us live our whole life? We have a unique call. You can reach someone I can never reach. You have a story to tell I will never have to tell, but you're trying to tell someone else's story. You're trying to live someone else's story. You're trying to run someone else's race. And even though you're working so hard, you get all the windows are just perfect. I asked you to mow the yard. This morning, what is God asking you to do? What's your unique purpose? I love Jeremiah 1:5. It says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." That's you. God's no respecter of persons. He didn't love Jeremiah any more than he loves us. So picture with me for a minute, before you were in your mother's womb, you were in his heart. He had a mission for you. He saw something in this generation that you were going to have to add. Now, I love the 40s. I would have loved to have been in the 40s. I just love that era and all that thing. But there was something today that God needed me here now. God, there's something in you that you have to give now. In the middle of our chaos, in the middle of our division, in the middle of our debt, in the middle of our craziness, there's something on the inside of you that God wants to work out for this generation. Before he formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to nations. Now, he knows you. He sets you apart, and he appoints you for your mission. You may not be appointed as a prophet to nations, but I guarantee you there's something on the inside of you to help nations come to the light of the gospel. It may be painting. It may be playing basketball. I thought someone would like that one. It may be singing. It may be being an engineer. God said, all right, Fabian, awesome. There's something on the inside of you. Run your race. Now, as you know, some of you may know, I felt like God started calling me to run this year. Oh, Lord, help me. I am not a runner. I don't claim to be a runner. But it was kind of a prophetic thing. And then so I was like, okay, but I have no shoes, Lord. You got to have running shoes. So I had a Christmas gift card, went to Macy's for the Macy's sale, and I found these shoes, and they were so much on clearance. You could not believe. And I was like, well, I bet they don't fit me. Yeah, tried them on. Perfect fit. So now I got my shoes, and then I needed some music, Oh, and actually, I think it was from Bob and Carol. I had another gift card. I got my running outfit, got my shoes. Oh, but I need a playlist. So Cody helped me. I did not know what dub stepping was. That, okay. Yeah. I didn't know what it was, and I still don't. No. But it's cool. It's cool. I like to run to it. Whatever you call it. So Cody helped me download on my playlist. It helps you move faster. There was just one problem. I was all ready. Now I got to run. Oh, Lord. And it's December. It was January. It was cold. We're in Texas, so it wasn't that cold. It's not like I have that much of an excuse. But I needed mittens, So I started the Couch to 5K, and the Lord would tell me, Kris, you don't run Patty's race. A good friend of mine, Patty Bateman, she runs, she's training for the London Marathon, and I'm hoping I get to go watch her next year and cheer her on, because Patty's race is not my race. So I would be getting discouraged. Patty's like tweeting, finished another 5K in record time. And you're like, I have a great playlist. And I got shoes, and yeah, I finished 4 weeks on my Couch to 4K, and then I had to start over because so much time lapsed. But I was winning because I was running my race. My race. You can't run someone else's race. A plug here for the Path, little mini course that's coming in September. It is the Path by Lori Beth Jones. We're offering it here by facilitators. It will help you find your core values and your mission, and it's fantastic. So just a little plug there. Which leads me into my last question. What can steal my win? So now we know what the real win is. We're going to know what my win is, because you got to run your race. But then we've got to know what's going to steal the win. What's the sabotagers that are going to come to steal the win? We know John 10:10. Jesus came to give us life, and life more abundantly. Abundant life. What does that mean? Jesus came to make you a winner. He came to make you a winner, life more abundantly. Does that sound a little bit victorious? Jesus came, but the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So we're just going to talk today about 2 things that can steal your win. And I love in 1 Corinthians 2:24, the Apostle Paul says, "No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others," and I got three fingers pointing back at me, "I myself will not be disqualified for the prize." Disqualified. Do you know the only way you're going to disqualify yourself from being a winner? Oh, got a little distraction there. Okay, focus. The only way you're going to disqualify yourself, the devil can't disqualify you. Jesus swam your preliminary race. Did you know that's a thing? I did not know that was a thing. Did you know someone else can qualify, but then they've put the best ones in to win the final race? Well, Jesus qualified you for your race. On the cross, he led a perfect life. He ran a perfect race. The grace that was in him lived out. The only thing, he qualified you, but are you disqualifying yourself? Because the only way you're disqualified is if you disqualify yourself. And one of the main ways that can steal a win is distraction. Distraction. I love this. It says, "A person who chases 2 rabbits catches neither." What is distraction? It's the thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something else, or extreme agitation of the mind or emotions. Our energy is finite. Our distractions are infinite. distractions. They're going to come, but now go to Hebrews 12:2 says, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. Fixing our eyes on Jesus. So we have to see that to fix this distraction, we need focus. Now I have a picture to show you here. Some of you may have heard this before, but this is called death by distraction. This is actually an ancient French form of torture for the highest traitors. And you can see we get that word distraction from this. They were distracting the members. On go, the horses would run, and they would be pulled in all different directions. Distractions. Distraction kills the best of us. It pulls us in different directions, sabotages our creativity, and leaves us with a sense of shallow discontent. However, focus, the opposite of distraction, helps us truly become effective. Focus is the distraction slayer. Focus for the win. Now, you remember the parable in Mark 4:3. It says, listen, behold, a sower went out to sow, and he sowed some seed, and it fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured it. Do you remember the story that Jesus told? A sower went to sow some seed. All the seed was the same. There was power and potential on the inside of this seed. But what would determine its destiny was the soil that it would be planted in. So some seed fell along the path, and the angry birds came and snatched the seed of destiny like that. How many times do angry birds, distractions, steal your destiny, distract you, and detour you from your race? Jesus said, and these are the ones along the path where the word is sown. And when they hear, Satan immediately comes and takes away the word that was sown in them. How many times do we sit in church and know God's called you to do something? You sign up for the hospitality team or a connect group after church. And you're so excited and you know God's called me to do this. You get to the car and your text is going bloop, 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 bloop. All of these distractions. Oh, so-and flat tire, and so doesn't have food, and so needs you to do this, and I need this report by there, blah, blah, blah. Angry birds come and distract you. And then 3 months later, you're like, oh yeah, what happened to that? I forgot I was going to do that. Stolen. This week we had the greatest example of focus known to mankind. Many of you have probably seen this picture. Michael Phelps, about to re-race the race that he lost in London. The South African Leclos is right here, right in front of him. And he is shadowboxing. I wish we had time to watch the video. Go find it on YouTube. It is so hilarious. He was the gold medal. We love our South Africans, all you watching South Africans. Thank you for making this. I'm so happy that we had such amazing entertainment. And he helped me have this example to share on Sunday. We love our South African friends. That this guy, the gold medal winner, last Olympics, taunting Michael Phelps. He was like, shadow boxing. And then he would go right up in front of him as close as he could get. Distraction. What was I saying? Yeah. Angry bird. Okay. He was, look at that face. He was taunting him, trying to distract him. The death trap of distraction. And Michael Phelps had that face that's now being hashtagged as the Phelps face. Some people have also given it other titles, such as the Darth Vader face. he was actually growling, like a little bit. You could hear, like, it was like that bulldog. I am not letting go of my focus. It's also been called the stink face. We'll stay with the Phelps face here, or I like the Darth Vader face. What if we looked at our destiny and our race with this kind of focus? That whenever doubt and debt and disappointment, all these things, they're shadow boxing us. I'm taking you down. I won before. You can't do it. I'm taunting you. And we fix our eyes on Jesus with the Phelps face. Grrr, just do a little growl. Devil, you ain't distracting me. And then, this is the awesome conclusion of the story. If you know what's coming, the winning lap. Or here, the next one. Phelps. His focus straight ahead, about to touch his hand out for the win. And where is the South African looking? At the winner. His eyes were not on his race. Even if he was losing, he should have been eyes focused on the prize. I'm going to do my best stretching forth. But no, his eyes were on Phelps. And that's what the enemy, when that disappointment comes to steal those seeds, that's why you just get that Phelps face. And then the devil's going to be like, whoa, I didn't know they had that in them. Whoa, that looks pretty hooper. Whoa, man, this is going to give glory to God. Man, this is going to show the grace of God. Man, this is going to cause someone else to win. Let's give the devil reason to have a pity party. Yes. You steer where you stare. This week, I had to refocus my running, and my husband likes to run in the early morning. I'm not a morning person, so I usually run at night or later because it's his race, not my race, so I'm running my race, right? Not comparing myself to anybody else, so. But if you don't know my story, a few weeks ago, I still got I'm believing the scars are going to heal up. I had a severe reaction to poison oak and I think sumac because on the trails, long story, I won't go into it, but I was pulling them off and ripping them up as we were walking. I infected myself with all this poison and I had a severe reaction, steroid shot and 2 weeks of steroids, and still I am not completely healed after 4 weeks. Crazy. So you can imagine me running on the trails in the middle of the place that just infected me I'm telling you, I can count on one hand the times I've suffered this bad. I had to take oatmeal baths like every 4 hours. My bathtub was like a crock pot. It was disgusting. I was itching, and people were always, you just do it subconsciously, and people are always like, stop itching. Well, you don't know how bad it hurts. No. So here I am. I got to start running again. I got to get focused, Phelps face, looking at that trail, and, you just look at it, and you start itching, The memory, the power of memories. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to touch you. I'm not going to touch you, poison vines. But it was so funny. Where did my focus, while I'm thinking about the fear I have of this poison, the fear I have, my focus I started finding myself focusing on the vines, focusing on it. And where then you steer, where you stare, where do you start finding yourself? Right in the middle of the poison. I was like running and I would, ooh, that looks like a bad batch. I bet that's it. And then I was like running off the trail. Focus, Kris, focus. Focus, you steer where you stare. So I know it's been hard. I know people have hurt you. I know you think, okay, Lord, I'm going to get up one more time. And then you get more bad news. And sometimes it's so hard to not just look at the hurt. Look at, ooh, that's what hurt me so bad. But can we not be pulled by the death of distraction and fix our eyes on Jesus? And then my last point today is what can steal your win? Number one, distraction. And number two, there's many, but these are the ones we're going to talk about today. Discouragement. Discouragement. And if focus fights distraction, what fights discouragement? The prize. The passion for the reward. Jesus, who for the joy set before him, endured the cross. It wasn't fun. It was hard. A crown, his crown into his head. What was he? Do you think he wasn't discouraged? People spitting on him and cursing him and people taunting him, just like the South Africans saying, the devil saying, we've won, we've beat you, all those demons. And Jesus was the originator of the Phelps face. Yeah. For the joy set before him. For the joy set before him. For the joy set before him. The joy set before him. What was that? You, the redemption of mankind was worth it. So when we start getting discouraged and think, I can't do it. I can't do it again. I can't get up again. It hurts too bad. We have to remember we're running a race for an eternal reward. Heaven will only tell all the times I had real wins and no one else saw. The time you turned the computer off, no one else saw. That time when you could have stole stuff and you could have ruined your family and you turned and you walked and you ran your race with integrity. No one else saw. Heaven is applauding you, and heaven will tell. There is a reward that's worth the pain. There is a reward. I love this Michael Irvin Hall of Fame speech, if you haven't heard it. I'm just going to read it so I don't get it wrong. He said, you know, the Bible speaks of a healing place. And you think back to some of the mistakes and some of the times Michael Irvin failed and fell. On the day he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, this is what he said. You know, the Bible speaks of a healing place. It's called the threshing floor. The threshing floor is where you take your greatest fear and you pray for help from your great God. When I am on that threshing floor, I pray. My heart cried out, God, why must I go through so many peaks and valleys? At that moment, a voice came over me and said, look up, get up, and don't ever give up. You tell everyone or anyone that has ever doubted, thought they did not measure up, or wanted to quit, you tell them to look up, get up, and never give up. Retired Dallas Cowboys receiver, Michael Irvin. Are you down today? I've got good news for you. You're going to win if you don't quit and disqualify yourself. There's a winner in you. We're going to watch this one last video. And it's an amazing picture of someone who didn't quit. It might not have looked to the world that they won that day, but they had a real win in many, many different areas. Let's take a look.
Part of the winning relay team that defeated the Americans in the 1991 World Championships. But the most famous thing that I'm known for is actually not finishing a race, and it's for the race in Barcelona Unfortunately, I'd had a few injury problems, mainly with Achilles tendons, and that sort of hampered me through my career. But by the time I was in Barcelona, I felt great. There was no issues, no problems.
Derek Redmond, the best form he's shown since he broke the British record, which was way back in '87.
And I remember thinking, I'm going to win this race. The gun goes.
Well,
and I had a really good start.
Redmond's got off very fast indeed.
I'm flowing down the back straight, and as I describe it, I hear a funny pop. And 2 or 3 strides later is then when I felt it, and I felt the sort of the rip of the hamstring.
Redmond has broken down. He's on the track, kneeling down, and Derek Redmond, well, his injury problem, the jinx has struck again.
And I just remember having my hand on the back of the leg and just sort of collapsing to the floor in pain. Then I remembered where I was, and it was just like, you're in the Olympic semi-final. And that's pretty much what made me get up and start to run or hobble. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to finish this race. It might be the last race I ever run, so I'm going to finish it. Not for anybody else, I'm going to finish it for me. And I was just about to start into the home straight, and I could sense this person on my left-hand side. And then I heard a very familiar voice shout out, "Derek, it's me." And instantly I knew who it was. It was my dad. Up until then, I'd managed to keep all my emotions in and hold it together relatively well. But as soon as I saw him, that was it. I lost it all, and I was in tears. I can't believe this has happened. Why me?
With his track record and injuries, it may be his only Olympic appearance. He just can't hold it.
He would always have been there with me, and he spent many a year standing on the sidelines in the middle of the winter with a coffee in his hands, trying to keep warm. And all he was saying was, look, you've got nothing to prove. You're a champion to us. You'll be back. Don't worry. We'll do this together. I just said to him, get me back into lane 5. I want to finish. Just get me back into lane 5. And the joke that I always make about that is the first and last and only time I've ever been able to shout at my dad and get away with it. Any other time as a kid, you would have got a quick smack round the ear and told, "Oi, less of your cheek." We still had officials trying to stop us. And they're not quite sure what to do. They're thinking, who's this crazy man that's just walked onto the track? What's going on? All this sort of stuff. And right up until the point I'd gone over the line and walked through the line, I had no idea the reaction it was having on the crowd. And I sort of, had a look around. People were going absolutely mad. Everyone's on their feet and all this sort of stuff. Some of the messages and letters and stuff that I get from people say, you have no idea who I am. I'm not in sport. I've been through, some hard times. Just want to thank you for your inspiration.
Get back in the lane 5. I love that. I love how he was telling his dad, get me back into lane 5. He had to run his race. He couldn't finish in someone else's lane. Do you know today, you've got a dad. He knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. He created you for the race. Your race doesn't look like anyone else's race. And there are times that you've tripped, you've been distracted, things might have detoured you. Maybe distractions even deterred you off the race. But there's always been a dad, your Heavenly Father. Along with what Hebrews 12 says is that host that's cheering you on. And Dwayne's going to talk more about that next week. Where's your race this morning? How is your race? Are you giving it your best? Are you eating potato chips on the sidelines? Are you comparing your race to everybody else's race and trying to win at someone else's race? Where's your focus? God can reroute you today if you've been distracted. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Or if you're discouraged right now, can we just stand all over this auditorium? Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you don't think you can finish, and maybe this week you even said, I'm just ready to quit. Right now, the presence of your daddy God is coming and saying, there's victory in your veins. It runs in your DNA. In Christ. For the glory of Christ. For the glory of God. Because of the grace of God. Because there's more to you than just what you see. There's a hooper strength. There's an overcoming strength. Today, can you receive it? Just lift up your hands if you need it today. Right now, strength coming. Right now, fuel, passion, reward. It's worth it. It's worth the sacrifices. It's worth it. Running your